Enti wohwe mo na watwe die utimi hu say nurses for trending na watwe pa. Utimi say from last week and then this week no, they have still been trending. They've been working for 10 months and then they haven't been paid. Demonstrations are hard war and they're going on. A lot of conversations and they're going on. And then I think say at some point you can no near a service a Benes and money be you know one because okay can Zambia and any can say okay that is what they are saying. But today the minority leader aba out abechirum say akatua I wasn't komutua nurses for no boapayo and incompetency into no more ntimi anya day entua nurses nekano they have the money were issued, everything was set for them to be able to pay the nurses. But I think say more suban any or more incompetence in tea and omo ntimi entua nurses nika enu mu nsem ene eba bekano today. So please let's dive into the video. Until October 2nd and a demonstration course nsem bebrebe ne baaye Benes abwaje eho bekan because okan Zambia nani kwan se woka ekoba say Ghana Nurse and Midwife Association Attorney General SBC ne letter say omra no meyi ne ho no woni nsem a esisiye enti eye ya pe na akando nyankopon hira no oba out no bekan ne nsem say o se oh ehun hia say ye service no man ba be yi ne ho no because no kra na ko get the shoes mu a nke ebi kra ko be more than that
issue of a nurse who was part of the demonstration. My attention was drawn to it yesterday I was in the constituency, so my attention was drawn to it, and then the ministry issued a press release to that effect. I do not want to sound as though I want to encourage indiscipline in the sector, but I think that I wish I was not the one at the center of this issue. I wish that a nurse or a health professional has been called to answer how maybe he or she has mistreated or mishandled a client or a patient, and not about the minister. I am a public servant, and if His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is your president, you must always look up to him. Freedom of speech, your right to demonstrate, divergent opinion, are some of the tenets His Excellency the President upholds so high. And so you cannot be his appointee and frown on those things. And so I have absolutely nothing against anybody who demonstrates. But of course, as I stated earlier on, let us do that responsibly. And so I'll urge the Director General of the Ghana Health Service to temper justice with mercy. This is not to encourage anybody to act irresponsibly. But I think that this should not engage our attention. What is important is how we will solve the issues, the challenges we have inherited. That should be the focus, and not these tangentials. I would also not want to sound as though I am condemning those who want to uphold professionalism and discipline in the sector. No, I will not do that. But with the greatest of respect. We have done this work for more than 25 years. We've gone through, the extreme. We've gone to worse things than this. But once you are determined to serve your people, some of these things are simply not avoidable. You meet them.
Honorable Minister Kwabena Minta Akando, or say, Nessa more kind in our say, Attorney General and Shenwon Chigenason because or the yaw and a Kasaye. Now, aside the yaw in Yamaniama or Kasani pleaded now no account on he plead on the girl's behalf. No, Nancy Bien will also take the opportunity money and I say, any an account wire there, any Mr. Koebi account bit me a play do on my behalf. That is not how it works. Also, Obia any responsible. Na only lilemu. Bibiania, you go through the correct route and then do your stuff. Me you su and Yama and find your day and taking Yama for granted. Now, fast forward, let's dive into the minority group in some of the about the nurses, you know, because almost say Sika funds were issued, everything was once on set. Say the Ghana government can pay the nurses, but I think that they've decided, and then is aside their incompetence, you know, any omu on seriousness or omu nyenti, enti no man timi anya day, and issue money and as oman timi and pay nurses. How my juma for 10 months. And on the name so many nurses in bar out every year demonstration. Internet say nurses bar out by demonstration and they are telling them say they have 7,000 people document under process a year pay or more. The rest they are putting documents together to get them paid out. That is not true. They had every means, every right, every money and they can use to pay all of these people, but they decided not to do it.
The essence of the minorities press conference this morning is to expose government for a mess they created. And 10 months down the line, they have seen the need to fix the mess they created. Folks, we are aware, and I have distributed copies of this financial clearance to all of you. And this financial clearance was issued on the 17th of July, 2024. The item 2 is, the Honorable Minister of Health is hereby granted financial clearance to enable the ministry engage 15,200 nurses and midwives who have graduated from the public and private institutions. Folks, this financial clearance, which was issued on the 17th of July, took effect immediately. The agencies that recruited, and this was the 7,000 or the 8,000 government keeps saying that were cleared financially. They are all part of this 15,000. Now what happened was this. The Ministry of Health, which is responsible for the teaching hospitals, recruited theirs. So on the same financial clearance, last year, they recruited theirs and they were paid 5 months. So all those who the ministry recruited with regards to this clearance had their 5 months salaries from July, August, September, October. Now the difference is that the ministry was able to do its validations and they did it spot on. Now, CHAG, the Christian Health Association of Ghana, they also used the opportunity to recruit theirs. If there are any differences, will be a few irregularities based upon delays on a person, but in general, was successful with them. Now, the only entity that delayed was the Ghana Health Service. However, they also did that recruitment before 31st December. Now, this clearance expired on the 31st December in item 7. As you read, it said, please note that this financial clearance expires on the 31st of December 2024 and cannot be used thereafter. Now, in normal public administration and civil service of this country, financial clearances expire. Even under this government, they will have financial clearances expire and they will go for extension. It is a normal practice in the system. It's no news, but you could only use it when you go for an extension for the Ministry of Finance. So, why didn't government see the need? Money was allocated for 15,000. You came in 7,000 or almost 8,000 had started. The remaining were employed by Ghana Health Service, albeit they were late, but they were at post. You didn't see the need to tell the institutions to reject them. Neither did the institutions write to you to reject them. What it meant was that they filled the gap and they were needed to be at post. So the institution used them. Except for political reasons. They did not extend this for political reasons. And then 10 months down, they faced an embarrassment where the students or the staff went on a public agitation, demonstration, to draw your mind to this clearance and the need for extension. Embarrassing enough, you are saying that you've taken it to cabinet for an approval. What sort of cabinet do you have to take for an approval when you have a clearance already? You're throwing that in the eyes of the people. So government created a mess. And they've seen 10 months, it's caught up on them, and they are fixing it. And that's when you take political decisions. You see, the minority, we are a reasonable minority. If you remember when the nurses went on strike, the leader is here. On the guidance of the leadership and the committee, we resolved that it was too early for us to support a cause, and maybe they may have to be reasonable to government. And that was because government is continuum. Regardless of the clearance they had, all this payment dates was approved in the last year. Understand government a bit and then be merciful. Go back to work and negotiate with government. The minority was so reasonable. And then the nurses saw the need to go back to work. So this is a reasonable minority. We've given you the opportunity as a government to find your feet in the first year as much as you can. And we have become so not too political with health. But you are dragging us in. It's the same thing that you did. You were so political. In 2020, the nurses went on strike for 3 weeks. Then in opposition, the NDC supported them that you should stay in opposition. They should learn from the minority. Our position in this year has been that it is too early. So we extended a goodwill, not because of the NDC government, but for the Ghanaian, whose life will be lost. And when the nurses are fixed, at the end of the day, what happened to the life that is lost? That's how reasonable that we have been. We cannot continue to be reasonable when you take the youth of this country for granted. The youth of this country matter, Ghanaians matter, nurses matter, and midwives also matter. It appears that being reasonable to them over the period, they are taking them for granted. And that is why we are trying to come in to get the public to know that there is no need for cabinet to approve anything again. There's no need. This is a clearance. Government should come and tell us that there was no clearance. There was, it expired. And they should tell us if indeed in public administration there has not been clearance which had expired and has been extended. It's no news in this country or any other country. It's no news. They lack their will. Political in their decision. So government created a mess. They have to fix it and fix it now. They should pay them now because the money was allocated. They should pay them now.
And that is what the minority leaders are saying because almost say the clearance issued out, that was issued last year, December muhonum. They had already expired, so could have extended the expiration date, or something. But Oma extended BBA, nothing was done, and they still employed about 15,000 people, but yet they were not paid. Please judge this one for yourself. And as always, my name is Humble, and I'm out. Peace out.